see us. She ain't looking.
Is it my turn? Is it time?
I don't know why they pointed at me, because it's you.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening. This is Lady Estelle and the Street Soldier Crew, and we are back for another Sunday evening with you. Your host this evening is glad to see that we are still here. We are healthy. We are alive and free. Your host, Dr. Joseph E. Marshall Jr.
Thank you, Lady E. Thank you, Lady E. Good evening, everyone. Alive and Free Street Soldiers Radio back on the air. Our final show of Black History Month, and it has been a month. It has been a month, very full month, a lot of good stuff. It's great. I hate to see Black History Month go because the concentrated effort is just so good from everyone. Wonderful, wonderful. We're going to conclude tonight with our final show. I'm going to tell you what it's going to be about in a minute. I'm looking forward to this. But let me say hi to everybody, Lady E, the Soul, Mike, and what's up? What's up? What's up? You can say a collective hello if you want to. Yes.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, well, yeah. Say something, Mike.
I said hello.
Oh, you did. You weren't loud enough for me.
Been talking all day.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yes, sir.
You have. I got to say to everyone, thank you so much for the great feedback from last week's show. Our last week's show, our Valentine's Day show on relationships.
Yeah.
I did a relationship show. I was brave. I thought it was going to just backfire, but it didn't. It was wonderful. May do it again. Folks have said, that was a great show. That was a great show. And I want to thank our, she was so great, Sabrina Robinson, our expert relationship therapist. She's wonderful. And I got to thank the brave couples who came on. The four brave couples, it was actually three, right? Who came on to talk about how they make their relationship work. So good, Lady. I may do it again. I made it again because as you put it so well as we wrap up the show, what's love got to do with it? Everything. That's exactly what she said. All right.
Hey, Doc, next time you got to do the Golden Bachelor version.
Nah, man.
No,
Stop, man.
You ain't gonna go there?
Stop. Come on.
You said you was brave.
No, I ain't that. No, forget that. Okay. Your sister been putting that out there, and people starting to ask me now. So no, don't say it no more.
Okay.
No Golden Bachelor for me. All right. All right. Let's jump into the news. A lot of news. Let me get the ugly news out the way first. Okay. Who's we have various names for him. Oh. The Orange Man. That's what we usually call him around here, right? In 1 week. That I can't call him a gentleman. That man, I call him a man. That man
call him poor excuse for a human, but okay.
That man was ordered to pay back $355 million for his fraudulent business dealings. And then the next day, he launched a sneaker line. You see them sneakers? Yeah. He launched a sneaker line. Oh, Lord. Called the Never Surrender High Tops. I heard they're going for like $3.99 or something like that.
They are sold out.
Yeah, I heard they sold.
You got $3.99.
No. Them Air Magas is $400. Okay.
Lady.
He'd probably get more traction if it was $3.99.
Apparently they ain't even made it. They're sold out already. A president with a sneaker line. All right.
Doc, I wasn't gonna vote for him, but then I saw the shoes and I saw his mugshot, and now all of a sudden I'm just
listen. Now I relate to him so much more. I relate to him so much more.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, now I see myself in him.
Well, that's what he says anyway.
Yeah, I see he has sneakers. He got a
mugshot. All right.
I see myself in him. He's been
all love sneakers and going to jail, according to
we're him. The same now.
All right. And the next day, or later on in the week, Mike, he was named the worst president of all time for the third time in a row. Wow. The third time, Lady E, the worst president. How many presidents have been? 46? 46?
Yeah, 46.
46.
He is named the winner. There have been some bad presidents, Andrew Johnson and Warren Harding.
Let's hope he stays the worst and not the next.
He is the worst. So that's all my news about Mr. Orange for this week. Okay, named the worst president of all time. And those of you who don't like me calling him that, well, tell him to stop wearing that stuff, and I won't call him Mr. orange anymore. All right. More tough news. 2 adults have been charged with the murder in the Chiefs Parade shooting, and they're both 17, 18 or something like that. 18,
Like,
18.
it was funny last week with the news was juveniles, and then now it's adults. So,
well, you know, that 18 just always bothers me about being an adult. But yes, they're not 20. Let's put it like that. And apparently it was over personal beef. We'll see what happens there. The widow of the murdered Haiti leader, did you read that?
Yep.
Has been charged in his killing.
Oh, well.
Your woman is charged in your murder along with a whole lot of other folks. That's a little too close to Ann home.
Whoa, they obviously,
yeah.
they wasn't part of the relationship show last week, okay?
You know, you're wrong for that, man. You are wrong. But
I'm just saying.
That was good. Wasn't that good? That was good. No, they weren't.
Obviously not.
All right, here's what we like, but we don't like. Because in order to get this money, a Detroit man was awarded $10 million after, and it seems like it's a brother every other month, a wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
He was awarded $10 million. I think I got a little more on that here. So,
hey, that man.
Alexander Ansari was awarded last Friday for serving a wrongful life sentence over claims that he shot and killed a young girl in 2012. Okay, he was exonerated after it was determined that Moses Jimenez, a former Detroit PD, withheld evidence that would have implicated someone else as the shooter. Okay, so yeah, he's out. He served. How many years did he say he served? I didn't see that. How many years he served?
I don't care if he served 10 minutes. If a cop lied on him, pay that man.
Absolutely. That whole process, no.
Run him his coin.
Doesn't it seem like every other month we get one of these, right? And it seems like, I know they ain't all black, but a whole bunch of them are black.
Yes, sir.
Wrongfully sentenced. Yeah, pay him his money, and brother go out and have a good time. And the last one I got, sir, is LeBron James and Maverick Carter are bringing men's grooming. It's funny because you just did the barbershop thing, right? At the school.
Yep.
The products are going to be sold in Walmart. Okay.
That's actually a good business move.
Yes. What they all about business.
Yes.
His and Maverick are all about that. The line features seven products for men's skin, hair, and beard care, and is set to debut on April 1st.
You know, men's products is big right now. We finally starting to learn, you know, it's okay. We have our own little face wash and stuff like that. So that's actually that's a good business.
I don't have much up here, but still I got a little bit down
here.
Got
the beard oil, you know, all the stuff.
Yeah. It'd be good on you. All right. LeBron and Maverick. Ladies.
I think it's really nice.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's gonna work too. They're gonna make money.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good.
Absolutely. Okay, that's all the news I have. Let me just say, as we wrap up Black History Month, I will repeat: books to read, movies to watch. I'm suggesting very strongly The Warmth of Other Suns and Cast, both books by Isabel. What's that?
Isabel Wilkerson.
Isabel Wilkerson. Number 2 and 3 on my list. Everybody knows me. Know the autobiography is number 1, and those two are now 2 and 2A. I can't even say it's 2 and 3. If you want just a short book that's got a lot of stuff in it, I love the Browder File, Anthony Browder. 1 and 2 give you a lot of stuff, and particularly stuff about African history that you don't know. Go see Stamped from the Beginning. That's on Netflix. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Origin. I think I saw it. You saw it. We saw it. It's great. It's the sort of the backstory.
And American Fiction.
Of the book. I got to see American. Somebody said
American Fiction. I saw it twice. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Hey, anybody in the studio see the Bob Marley movie?
I saw that too. It was so good. Yeah.
I heard good things about all of these movies.
The one I saw this week was on BET Plus called Kemba.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
So yeah, we got a whole month for that one, right? Because
we but we gotta.
As we exit
right now, I could not wait.
It is.
I watched it as soon
it's
as it came
our sorority sister is in it. Lady E.
There's a lot of
Kimba,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I know she's a soror. That's right.
BET Plus. Yes.
Good movie, beautiful, deep, cried. But yes, I recommend that one.
Well, and it helps if you really know Kimba,
her.
like we know.
Yeah.
It's we all over the yeah. We go that Women's History Month is coming up, so Kimba's you're gonna hear a lot about Kimba as we move into March. All right, that's it. News done. Ready? You got some, or is that done? We done? We ready for the show?
Howard University debuts first ever ice skating team. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah.
I saw it in your news. Sorry.
First HBCU ice skating team. I didn't know that. And actually they say hockey, the article goes on to say, or skating, excuse me, not hockey. Skating is the least diverse sport. I didn't know that. It kind of makes sense when you think about it, but I didn't know that. So we'll see if this leads to a change in it. It's a little too cold for me, but hey. And I don't skate well, but you know, that's me. Okay. I'm like the stereotype.
I'm waiting for the curling team. I'm waiting for the HBCUs to break into that curling.
Okay.
Curling?
From the Midwest.
What is curling?
Where you push the stone rocks on the ice rink.
Really?
Yeah, it's an off season for hockey. But there's other things you can do on the ice.
Did you curl when you was
I did. I was on the curling team when I was in my doctorate at Iowa State University.
You got skills on the curl?
By the time I graduated, I did. I worked up them skills. I was on that team for 4 years.
Well, now you're gonna make me do some research on curling.
Anybody play lacrosse, squash, anything like any of those games? I know all those games are starting to gain popularity.
I'm ethnic, brothers. Basketball. I mean, but we can do anything. I know that.
We
right?
can. We
can
can.
do anything.
We're getting ready to bust these country music charts.
Well,
sure.
That's another discussion. Let's not do that. We may do a whole program on Beyonce
I think you should do a whole program on all of them. All of them. There's so many more.
Okay, we got to do this program. Okay.
Topics for the future.
All right, let's talk about what the show is. The show tonight is, let me read this. The University of San Francisco Marshall Riley Scholars are going to enlighten us tonight on their Black History immersion trip to the South, okay? And our guests who are going to, we have a number of young people from USF. You see, I got my USF, University of San Francisco hoodie on. And we have two staff members from USF, the USF Marshall Riley Scholars and the Base Program, Dr. Aja Holmes right here and Kevin Collymore. And they will be with us as we go through this. And I am anxious to hear about this. In fact, we're going to do the whole thing, the whole base thing, and then we're going to get into the trip, the young people, what they learn. Let me just talk to you. I went to USF. I wish I had a trip like this. Okay. I had to learn through it vicariously through reading books and hearing about other people's experiences traveling to the South. Yeah, we're going to learn. So let's start bringing in whoever we got. I don't know who we got. We only got one. We got Alana. That's it. Alana, where the rest of your folks, Alana?
Alana, you tried, huh?
I tried.
I'm taking the Marshall name back, okay? Whoa, well, somebody better, you gotta.
I'm trying.
I can't do a whole show with just Alana.
Oh, we can.
Well, we can.
Oh, we can.
We want to get
even wore her shirt. Come on now. Look at that.
Pool of young people to talk about the trip. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna send one more email, folks. I'm gonna send one more email.
See, that's why I don't email. That's why I text it.
Can you put the link in the group me for me, Alana?
I'm a text person. I don't.
Yeah, it's in the group me.
Don't nobody look at emails. They get so many. While we're waiting, let us introduce Mrs. Adrienne Riley, who is the other half of the Marshall Riley Scholar. I sent Adrienne a flyer today, and she said, "Oh my God, it's great! I want to see the kid. I want to say this." And so she's going to come on and say a few words because I know she's got to go. She's going to be driving. She's going to listen as the young people talk about their immersion trip. So let's let her have her unmute and go right ahead. Hi, Adrienne.
Hello, everyone. So I was just going to brag about the students, so maybe there'll be more joining in a minute. But I just wanted to welcome such an outstanding group of young people and the dedicated staff along with them. And I'm really appreciative that Dr. Marshall is providing this opportunity for these dynamic students that are coming on soon to share such a transformative, impactful experience they had. So I've heard some of them speak of it. So I'm just hoping a few more come on to share it with you because I know your listeners will be totally impressed how lucky they are to have this experience. I agree. I wish I had had that as a student. So I'm glad to see they're taking advantage of opportunities that are there at USF. And as students, that's important. Wherever you are as a student, as you find out every resource and opportunity there is and take advantage of it. So I'm still looking for some more.
You know, Adrian, I got a chance to speak to Alana. Were you there when I came to speak to the group?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a chance to speak to them. It's about 19 or 20 of them. I had a ball, but you haven't had a chance to meet them, and so I know that they're working to get you over there to 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 talk to them up close and personal.
Right.
So, Ilana, this is the illustrious Mrs. Adrienne Riley, who with me founded the Black Student Union back then and way back in the 20th century. I like to say, and you know, we always say we paved the way. I heard work for you, and are so happy with what's going on at the school with base, and very fortunate to have them name, you know, some of the scholars after us. And Adrian, we still can't believe it. In fact, there the picture that was on. I don't know, did you see the picture that was on the flyer? You see the picture on the flyer? The flyer.
Yeah, that was last year's cohort.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
but
we got any group pictures this year.
well, y'all got sweatshirts that said, "Em, can I get a sweatshirt?"
A t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Yes, a t-shirt. Alana, want to show you a t-shirt?
Yeah, t-shirt. Yeah, there. I want one of those. Yeah, look, Adrian, look you this. See how hard as you. Okay, MRLLC. MRLLC.
We have t-shirts for you all.
Thank you. All right. Well, Adrian, we waiting. I don't know where they are. Alana,
I have had the opportunity. The reason I said it's transformative and impactful is because I have been lucky enough to have the opportunity to speak with other students in past years. So it's been an annual event and a pretty important part of the base program, the entire base program. So hopefully a few more come on. So, and I see Miss Estelle. I got to see Miss Estelle in person not too long ago. So
Hey there, Miss Riley.
yes.
at
Good
her
to
book
see you.
signing. Yes, her book signing, which was marvelous.
Yes. We've got famous people here to listen.
All right, let's get started. We got to get started. And when it's just, Lana, you may have to represent the whole group, but we do have staff here.
We do, and we do have a great student who is going to represent. I wouldn't have had any other way. When she emailed me, said she was going to be on the show, I said, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. We got a good one."
I just want to say, Alana, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm going to leave the video, but I'm going to be listening to you, and I know you're going to be special. Okay, good to meet you. Love all of you.
Everybody love you too. Good to see you, baby.
Good to see you, Ms. Riley.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what base is and give everybody the background, and then get into the trip and how long you've been doing it and how it came about, and who wants to start?
I'll start. So
First say who you are and your role with the university, so everybody.
yeah,
knows.
so my name is Kevin Collymore. I'm the Assistant Dean for Retention and Persistence Programs at USF. So what that means is I work with a number of initiatives, the BASE initiative, Black Achievement, Success, and Engagement being the biggest one in my portfolio, really recruitment, retainment, and graduation of Black students at USF. So, you know, I've been at USF as Algernon for our third academic year, based from a scholarly point of view and faculty and staff and students, kicked off in 2016 with community members on campus coming together and demanding of the university to do more to not only hear Black students and their concerns, but also increase the number of Black students at USF.
Yep.
Of all the schools in California, the Bay Area, USF's undergraduate population for Black students just remains stagnant at 3%. I sit here today. It's about 11% of
Yeah.
the undergraduate population. So this initiative is definitely build it up. So base, long story short, I know there's a lot of history, but the biggest three components that came out of the base initiative was first a Black Scholars Program. So we University of San Francisco sponsors 10 students every year, full scholarship for 8 semesters. And these students are absolutely high achieving, high achieving academic scholars. The second is the Black Resource Center, which is our programming arm. We do a lot of programs, workshops for all of our undergrad and grad students. And then what we have here is the Marshall Riley Living Learning Community. And so that is a living learning community in Tola Hall, named after a fellow Black alum,
Burr Artola.
Burl Toller.
Girl told.
Um,
Yes.
And the Living Learning Community houses 30 students, 10 of those scholars, 10 first years, and kind of just 10 continuing students tend to be sophomores. And so throughout the year, they take 2 classes, African American Studies 100 in the fall, Black Activists, African American Studies 200, community organizations. This year, last year they worked with the Fillmore. This year, they're working with a lot of more organizations. And then in January, during that downtime for the rest of the college per se, in the January session, Dr. Candace Harrison, when she was director, and the staff there really built out this phenomenal on the ground 10-day intensive immersion trip that really shows students from port of entry as an enslaved person in America to all through civil rights, Jim Crow, and back. And this happens right before students return to USF in the spring. So, that's what base is. Shout out to Dr. Lawrence, our current director. Shout out to Cheryl Davis, Dr. Cheryl Davis. She's also the San Francisco Human Rights Commissioner, director for that. Shout out to Lashreen Howard, our program manager, and everyone at USF that kind of supports what we do. Definitely shout out to our development team for definitely making scholarships possible, right? And so while BASE is definitely working on behalf of all students, and we're getting to our touch point, our high touch point programs like the LLC and the scholars, we definitely have made a ground effort to really support all Black students at USF with scholarship money, with opportunities. Hopefully this conversation with HBCUs and how USF can be involved in that. There's a meeting next week, not next week, but 3 weeks from now about that. So kind of really, see where the collaboration is. But this I would say this is an initiative, and I'll pass it over. This is an initiative that moved me from New York to San Francisco, right? It's a job that really centers on Black student success. And I'm just grateful to be here for sure.
Out of all that you said, the thing that jumped out, I don't know if everybody else heard it. BASE is 5 years old.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. From 3% to 11% Black population at the school.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, just look at that. That is a huge jump in 5 years. And wow. And just, I know that, but then I'm saying it again to myself.
Yeah.
But let's put it like this. The population in San Francisco is only 3%. So if you want to see some Black folks, just go walk on USF's campus. You're going to see way more than you see in San Francisco anyway. What, and I'm going to say, how long has the immersion trip been? And maybe you can answer this. We'll just give you a chance to jump in here. How long has the immersion trip been going on?
Fourth year.
This is fourth year?
Fourth year.
Fourth
The
year.
first one
Okay.
was
Okay.
2019.
Okay. Fourth year. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, got a couple more. Good. We got one more anyway. Okay. Now,
I am Dr. Aja Holmes, and I am the Assistant Dean of Students and Director of Community Living. My role on campus looks at our residents' life, our off-campus students, and also to our basic needs, which is our food pantry and emergency housing. So I've also been there as long as Kevin has. And into my second year, I got asked to work with the Marshall Raleigh LLC. And so this is an addition and add-on to my position. It's not necessarily a part of my portfolio, but it is one that has definitely sustained me and also got me excited to continue to work with these folks here. And so what I do in my role is I work with the director of the Marshall Raleigh LLC, and I help with that between the students who live on the floor and making sure, that we have an RA that represents the Marshall Raleigh, the programming that's there, and also I also help co-teach the course with this year with Dr. Cheryl Davis. And that's been fun. The students are absolutely amazing. This is my second cohort that I'm working with directly, and they are absolutely fabulous. Very smart, bright kids who are definitely challenging us and also providing us with just a different perspective, in terms of life for young people who are going to make their mark. And I'm really are going to be trying to follow these folks to figure out what happens, in their life. And it makes me, every time we're done with class, I'm a little bit more, our future is going to be okay because of the students who are going to be there ensuring that, like, our future is bright with these. They are absolutely amazing folks. And so I'm glad that we have two more on, and we have two in the waiting room that's ready to come in.
Pull them in.
There.
Pull them in.
And
Well, I get mad. Pull them in.
Exactly. And so
you know what, Dr. Marshall, to get mad.
the way that we design it is these are first year, most of them are first year students and sophomore students. And then, like Kevin said, in that first semester is the class that really does build up in terms of them looking at, this year was themed visionary and activists. And we just looked at, some of the ways that, who are visionaries and who are activists, and how do we give out those terms and things of that nature. And then we, in the spring semester, we look at how do we engage with, the Fillmore, and also too with our community organizations, around the city that really does deal with, the upliftment of Black folks and folks in need, and underrepresented folks. And then we sandwich that immersion trip, that January time, and it's a 10-day trip that we have. And then we take them through a civil rights tour through the Deep South. And we start off in Louisiana. So we all kind of go to break, have, we celebrate Christmas and New Year's with family, and we cut everybody's break short. So everybody has a short break, and we descend upon New Orleans in Louisiana. And from there, we start our trip, and we head from there to Alabama. We go to Africatown in Alabama. And then we also look at Mississippi, where we go to Greenville, Mississippi, and look at the Delta Blues tour with that there. And then we head up to Tennessee, where we would do the Third Street Baptist Church, Kelly Ingram Park, and also to the Civil Rights Center, up there. Last year, we were able to go to all 4 states.
No, sorry. I want them to tell that, but let me.
So, but this year we got cut by the snow.
Well, I know. I mean, that's all gonna come out.
Okay,
but I want people to get the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that you take this immersion tour. There's a reason that you're taking these young people back to these historic sites, and having just So just say what the reason is. What do you want? What did the staff want them to get out of this?
I think for me, and the students can also kind of hop into, it's a grounding, but also to understanding the roots of the civil rights tour and the civil rights movement that happened, but from many different perspectives. Because when we were in Louisiana, we learned about other types of movements that happened, with a pool, integration of a pool that was there, right? And you don't necessarily hear about that on a national level. It's overshadowed by some other major events. But it was to really look at how the birth of the civil rights movement and those things, but also how those lasting effects that countered the civil rights movement is still in effect today, right? In terms of that. So it's looking at the birthplace and also to the movement of that and how we can understand where we have been so we can know where we're going.
So I'm going to sum it up by saying my phrase would be making a connection.
Yes.
Making that connection with them.
Yeah.
And not reading about it is one thing, seeing it is another, watching it in a movie, going to the places is hopefully a deeper connection, but only they can tell us that And so let's jump into this. This is a highlight of the discussion ID. I love
So
this
we have
title.
actually 3 students on, and then we also have a former Marshall Riley student, but she is our ace this year. So she is the one who is helping us. Imani Cheeks is helping us connect.
I knew that girl.
I
seen her before.
That's exciting. But we knew that
I
we
love
can
seeing people more than once.
work with our students to connect them to the community organizations
Sure.
here in the city. And so she's taken the lead on that for this spring semester.
Yeah, but she did go on the tour.
And she did.
so
Yep,
I'd
the
love
ACE
to
goes
hear-
on the tour. So
I'd
all
love
these
to hear-
students have gone on the tour.
I'd love
Alana,
to hear.
we have Harrison, and then we also have Ella Jones.
Okay, all right. So where do we begin? Each of you introduce yourselves. Say the year you are and what your major is. Let's get all the, what they call it, demographic information out of the way and where you're from. Because one of the nice things when I went was they were listening to you at all the places that the Marshall Riley Scholars are from. It was just wonderful to hear. So Alana, since you were here first and you were on time, and I love you for that, you get to go first.
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Alana Carpenter. I'm a first-year student at the University of San Francisco. I'm studying biology with a minor in chemistry, hopefully pre-med, and I am from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Thank you. Harrison. I like that first name.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Harrison Combs. I am a freshman and I'm a computer science major. And I'm from Maryland, right outside of DC.
All right. Thank you. Ella?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ella. I'm a psychology major. I'm also a first year, and I'm from the East Coast, from Pennsylvania.
Okay, Pennsylvania is a big state. What city?
I'm like right outside of Philly.
Right outside of Philly. Is that Camden? Because I've been there. Camden's right outside of Philly, but it's not Camden, right?
No, it's not Camden.
You're not trying to hide where you live. Okay, that's all right. That's
No, it's a pretty small town. It's Oxford. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Of course we have. But that's the point. We want your name of your city on the map. Imani, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see y'all too. Well, just to reintroduce myself, for those who don't know, my name is Imani Cheeks. I'm from East Oakland, California. I go to the University of San Francisco. I'm a junior and I'm majoring in sociology.
All right. Thank you for the 4 of you for joining us in this to talk about this immersion tour. I was actually, when I heard about it, I was just blown away. I'm sorry. I was blown away. I loved it. It's just, I still can't imagine that USF is actually doing this, right? But let's get an opening statement from you about the tour. What, if you can name, and I always start with this, just one word. We're gonna do it one word that you came back with that would describe your experience on the tour, and then we'll get deeper into it. But let's start with one word.
Okay, one word I would say would be impactful.
Impactful. Okay, Harrison.
My word would be fulfilled.
Wow. Okay. All right. Ella.
I would say empowering.
Empowering. Okay. And Imani, and this is important to me because you're a year. Did you go a year ago? On the tour?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So
Yeah.
a year later, I'm thinking, what word? You can use the word for now or for then. What word for you?
I think my word for now is legacy.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. Now you get to explain the words. Impactful, fulfilled. What was the third word? I missed.
Empowering.
Empowering. And go ahead, just delve a little deeper into those words. Why? Why was it impactful? Why was it fulfilling? Why was it empowering? And legacy, I love that word. Because I'll tell you why. So Alana, just start and we'll give you a few and then we'll move on. We'll go through the discussion with each of you. And yeah, why?
So I think for me, my why that it's so impactful was because I've never been in a situation where I got to like truly experience our like history as a Black community. So like without any filters or without like scared of stepping on other people's toes. It was very much just, we're in this space and we're taking up the space and getting to really feel everything that comes with that. That's not something that I've ever gotten to experience before. So truly being in those spaces and getting to feel all of the emotions that come with it and like truly learn an unfiltered version of our history was very impactful for me.
Thank you. Harrison, your word was fulfilling.
Yes, fulfilled. Fulfilled is specifically how I felt after the whole trip, because in my opinion, in an effort of a lot of colleges, in the effort to get minority students, there is a lot of monetary investment, but sometimes very little mental or emotional investment. And to me, this immersion trip really did represent that promise being fulfilled, that they would do more than just show up for me monetarily speaking. You know, on that trip, there were many ways to get support. There were so many avenues of just finding wisdom from anybody from our ace, Amani, to Dr. Holmes. And it was a really impactful, you know, process, because it really showed me that the school cared about me as a person, as an individual. And so that promise was fulfilled on their end. And that's why I'd say it was really fulfilling.
Man, where you find this brother?
Listen.
Look.
Listen,
Does father know about him?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Because father will jump on anybody that he did that with Michael. You know, he got the.
We're gonna use it. We need a clip.
Yeah,
We need to use that clip.
We're gonna use this one right here. Yeah, we're gonna get look, bro. You might get a little money out of that. So keep talking like that.
I read his application. I was like,
put your best foot forward.
Oh yeah.
we gotta get
Did you hear that, brother Mike?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You impressed?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Very much so.
If Mike's impressed,
Very well said.
he hard to impress.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hard to impress.
Oh man.
Thank you.
Very well said.
Ella, empowering.
I would say it was empowering for me at least because we were able to go. I think the place that made the most mark on me was the Legacy Museum, and we were able to learn so many different things that I have never heard of before. And it just really showed how far we've come from the past and moving forward, how important it is to stay in touch with that history. So that's why I would say it was very empowering.
Thank you. Thank you. And Imani, Legacy. Now, is your word different than if it had been a year ago? Would you have had a different word? And if that, you can share both and then, you know, weave them both in.
Honestly, I think I probably would have had the same sentiment as my lovely students did right here, as they express, you know, empowering and impactful. Because the first time you're going through it, you're not really expecting anything that you're like walking through. Everything that you hear, how you said, like you learn about it in class, but it's so different to hear like these stories in real life and to hear about people who may have experienced it firsthand and to be going to these historical monuments and walking across it or engaging with it. And I think it just speaks volumes to, and also that the first time I went, even in the people in the communities and the areas that we went, a lot of them don't get a chance to go to these places or these museums and like check it out. So it really was like, I think the aspect of like that privilege component and being really able to immerse yourself within it, I think was beautiful. And I think that my word now of legacy is the whole aspect of how you get to learn about all this information and take it back to your own communities. Because, like how I said, we get the privilege of really being able to be and learn about this information that many other people don't get to. Because, you know, it's only the MRLC, not the whole Black community at USF, which I hope one day will be yet to come. But we can also go back to our peers and let them know like, hey, this is what we learned and this is what out there, but also how that empowers us as that community and roots us in that. One thing that I love this phrase is like, we learned it at the Studio B, which is like a whole art museum. It's beautiful, but that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And I think just taking that message and crossing it over back to wherever you go, you know, I'm telling this to my peoples back at home, and my dad's like, really? Y'all learned all about that? And we're engaging in like this new conversation that I don't think they would have had the opportunity to engage within if I didn't bring this information to the table. So I think that that's the aspect of legacy, is that we still get to see how we're a part of it, but also continue it.
You made a statement about being in places where even the people who live there don't necessarily go to those historical spots. And I remember being in Birmingham, the first time we went to Birmingham, and for the the conference we did, Street Soldiers Alive and Free Violence Prevention Conference, and we called it back to Birmingham. And I get to Birmingham, and I mean, I'm going crazy. I mean, there's a museum, and the place I want to go was Kelly Park. I mean, Kelly Park, where this is historical, and and
Kelly Ingram Park, yeah,
Kelly Ingram Park. Thank you. And half the people in Birmingham didn't know about Kelly Ingram Park, and it blew my mind. I said, "You got this famous place here? Dr. King was here, and March is here, and the dogs, and all of that, and they hadn't been." So yeah, that was.
It's kitty corner right from the 3rd Street.
16th Street.
Sorry, 16th Street Baptist Church.
Yeah, yes, that's this place.
Yeah,
I want to go there.
Yeah,
I mean,
we went to
I'm going there.
We go there. We went there on Sunday. We had went to the church service that was there.
But the fact that many people in Birmingham itself
Oh,
had,
wonderful.
so I don't know if they're not taking it for granted, or I guess when you're around, like I've never been on a cable car either. So I'm in San Francisco. See, look at me, like
It's right. I'm from New York. Never been to Statue of Liberty.
Oh, okay.
For what?
Oh, man.
Anyway, whether it's Black history or regular history, people aren't going.
I'm from Chicago and went to the top of the Sears Tower. And it always be the Sears Tower, no matter how many name changes it is.
But see, there is that something that television, the movies, and social media, it's funny the things that we really believe. Social media, sometimes what we see, people really, really believe that.
True.
And then the movies, that's not real. TV, well, that's really not real. And then, unless it's a documentary, it really doesn't have the meaning. So the things that we see affect what we think. But when you are in the place, it goes deeper, and you get in touch with what you feel, which really validates and increases even more what you saw. So it moves to a different level once you walk into that space, into that room, the energy, everything, it just fills you up from a different place. And that makes the difference sometimes. That's what you bring back with you, what you felt.
I mentioned last week, the first 2 weeks of Black History Month, the young people that are Alive and Free, we go back to the source. We go back to Africa, right? We go back to, I call it before the kidnapping. That's where we start. We always start before. We never start after the kidnapping. After, I call it AC. I mean, after 1619, because if in fact I said something, and I don't know how old you are, but let's say, Harrison, I started talking to you about what's life for you at the age of 15. I couldn't get a complete picture of you unless I went back to, birth. And so in order to give Black people a complete picture, our kids a complete picture, when the stock market was high, that's what I call it. I go back to beginning is Kemet. But as she's doing this and showing these pictures, she's been to the temples in Egypt. And, Lady E brought out the papyrus and put it on the wall. And when those kids get up there and touch it and get to see it and feel it, you should see them. They're like in awe.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's a similar experience going to these places, and seeing is one thing to read about or see it on TV, but to actually be there. And the phrase I've always used for Black History Month is, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you don't know. And when I found out what I did know, I wanted to know more. That's why, even though I started reading a long time ago, I'm still reading right now, because all this was hidden from us. Any particular moment, any particular place that stands out in your memory? And let's go backwards. Let's go to Amani and we'll work our way back to Atlanta. Any particular place or moment? I know there's so many, but anyone, and you got to do the full tour. So yeah.
If from my recollection, for the first time I did it, I think what stood out to me is actually the place that the students this time didn't get to go to, which was Mississippi. And I just felt like from the Emmett Till Memorial all the way up to the Blues tour was super impactful, because it's a perspective The museum we went to was actually like a Black-owned museum, and so they were telling us from a perspective that wasn't like whitewashed or like kind of like covered up. And so I felt like really standing on the grounds and being right next to the river in which like, bodies found and stuff like that, um, really makes you sit in like a different place, and like hearing about how the communities would be impacted even from into our blues tour. We're hearing about like, how people can get picked up off the street or in their houses, and kind of like the violence that was like perpetuated at all times and even still is. I think in that moment it just like kind of recenters and refocuses on like how how I said, kind of like the historical legacy. And for me, he mentioned like an artist, and I'm blanking on the name, but like the crossroads that people have to choose within their life, and like the direction that they wanted to go. And I think that's like where we're seeing the connection to like the Great Migration and being like, do I stay here or do I move somewhere else for like my safety of my own family? And like kind of like those pivotal moments within like Black history. And I think that those moments just really touched my heart, because seeing these advocates and activists in the community still, who are willing to stand within the community no matter what has happened, and tell the story from the perspective that it's needed to be told from, was just really monumental. And I think it's also just important to really stand within that history from like our people telling it. And so for me, those were like the moments that really hit deep to me. I even still have like the photos and videos and stuff like that. And I think it's something that I'll never really forget. And those were the moments that like I remember my cohort was like riled up and we ready to like, take action as soon as we get back, or what we gonna do. And so I just remember it like kind of bringing us together and having a moment like, we got to carry this mission on forward no matter where we go, and to make sure that our community is always safeguarded, and that we don't let these histories like die out, that we still here to remind everybody what has happened and what is still going on. So yeah, that's what I remember.
Great statement. Another one. You got to get that one. Get that one down for donors for the future tour. That was wonderful, man. That was fabulous. We gotta go to break. And we'll be back. So we'll go around and continue from Ella, you're next, Harrison, you're next, Alana, you're next. Want to hear the biggest moments for you. Pay the bills. We'll be back live and for Street Soldiers. Hang on.
Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul? Trying to find my soul. Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier. Street soldier. Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask. I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say. This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly, and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
And are we live? Yes, our Live and Free Street Soldiers Radio, our final show of Black History Month, and it has been a great month. Been a wonderful month. We are joined this evening by staff and students from the University of San Francisco Marshall Riley Scholars Program, and they are enlightening all of us on their Black History Immersion trip to the South. Some wonderful statements from that first hour about the trip itself, and again, just I know me and Lady E, and I'm sure Mrs. Riley, who's listening to this, we're just thrilled that you were able to go. We're just thrilled that the university has provided this opportunity for you, and I ain't hating, but I'm envious and jealous, and just feel. But I'm so happy that this has come about. So Ella, let's go to you, and let's hear from you about any particular highlights on the tour, any place that made a deep impression on you. Go right ahead.
The thing that comes first to mind actually for me would be when we went to the Legacy Museum, there's a part of one of the exhibits is there are, like, I guess you could say, like, hologrammed like people. They were slaves that were in like jail cells, and you go through the little hallway that they're in, and there's multiple jail cells on each side of the room, and then when you step in front of them, they start telling their stories. And the one that had a really big impact on me, it was the last woman that was in the exhibit, and she had just been singing. And I think it was just a matter of, like, we had read so much before, like coming into this trip, and the exhibits that were right before it, but that was her singing, just like it really just like triggered something very emotional in me. And for me, it was just like, I don't know, it just felt like something had been building up, and it was just very, very emotional.
Thank
So
you.
I think that would be the most emotional, impactful thing for me on the trip.
Thank you so much.
Seeing and feeling really, seeing and feeling really makes a difference. It makes the stories real.
Okay. Harrison?
Well, again, I don't want to kind of belabor this point, but again, I have to say the Legacy Museum was my favorite part as well. I think it strikes me as the most important museum or memorial I had ever been to, and that's not an easy feat. It really showed an impressive attention to detail and an impressive control over narrative, specifically the narrative of what slavery exactly was. Speaking of the transatlantic slave trade, how specific that evil was and how it was not seen in any other cultures that had practiced slavery. So even though they went by the same name, that memorial really put together all of the pieces, relating it back to capitalism, for instance, and how specifically that was a very, very big drive for slavery in the States. How people had to lie to themselves. They had to lie to themselves to say that African Americans were inferior, and that they knew that that was a lie, but they told it big enough and long enough that they started to believe this fact. Certain things like that, taught me a lesson in life in general, to be wary of my own mind. Because if I start to lie, even to yourself, that can be one of the most dangerous lies of all. So again, that Legacy Museum really wrapped everything up in a really nice, package, had incredible set pieces. Ella mentioned again, there were holograms. We saw, some pretty disturbing scenes themselves. It wasn't for the faint of heart, believe me, but it was really stuff that everybody deserved to see. And it was a great experience. I had a great time.
Wow. That's yeah. I was talking to someone, and having this conversation, and I was like, how much, and the guy's, he's white, and the conversation is, how much does this guy really want to hear, right? I mean, how much can he take, right? How much can you really take? And we had a few nice words, and it was, and he says, what in Rodney King, he's used, a lot of times they use Rodney King's word, right? Why can't we all just get along? And I said, because it was intentional that we don't. And what you say, it was very intentional, and he just didn't understand the intentionality of it, right? And I had to take him back. I said, "How much you want to know?" I will ask people how much you want to hear. So I'll go back and I said, "Well, let's start with the 3/5 compromise." That was intentional, and take him through these things, and so yes, all of that intentionality is what folks don't really get, how this is orchestrated and continue to be orchestrated, and even now continue to be orchestrated. And so I'm glad I'm just you seeing that up close and personal. And I don't know if we'll ever get it. I don't know if we got get it, but that doesn't mean it's not true. That doesn't mean it's not true. And so to hear you say that, it's just wow. All right. Oof. All right. Alana.
I would agree with Harrison and Ella that the Legacy Museum was very impactful, but another site that impacted me was the Whitney Plantation. Being from the South, I'm not afraid necessarily of plantations. Like, I've seen plenty of them, but to truly get to experience it and be taken through the history and the ins and outs of like what actually occurred on the plantation without a filter was very impactful. Just getting to see there was various markers, or just getting to actually like walk into a cabin where slaves like slept and see how little there truly was, and just get to see like a glimpse into the life of a slave was very impactful and informative of just how much our ancestors went through and the battles that they fought on a daily to getting to be where we are today and getting to experience the various things that we experience. I think that I can catch myself taking those for granted at times. So I was really appreciative of getting to step back into reality and really view our history for what it was and be grateful for where I am today.
And it's funny, again, back to this gentleman. When I was talking about the 3/5 compromise, he said, well, what did he say? He said, well, compromises had to be made, right, in order to get look at your face, right? Compromises had to be made in order to, to have a union, right? To have a United States. And I'm like, she has a wonderful line. I don't mind and you don't matter. Right? So I'm saying, in his mind, we just part of the compromise. And I'm not looking at him, that ain't your great, right? So how's he gonna get it, really? How is he going to get it? And and that's the great paradox in this country. They say all men are created equal, but that's what he said. Compromise had to be made. So I'm just a compromise. Right?
And I need to say that line, I don't mind and you don't matter, came from Bull Connor during the civil rights movement, when the young people were being carted to jail and there were dogs chasing them. There were water hoses. The power from the water hoses could take the bark off of a tree, and they were hosing the children down. And when they went to the police, the chief was Bull Connor. And he said, I don't mind and you don't matter. So whatever happens to you, hey, I don't mind because you don't matter. That's where that line came from.
Yeah.
And that is the belief that they carried all during the civil rights movement and what was happening down south. History doesn't become real until you walk that walk, until you get there and you get to see a taste of it and you get to feel it. And then the stories you hear old folks say, it's like, man, they're not just talking. See, when I was a little girl, let me just say, when I was a little girl, old enough to drive, the white kids were chasing me. On one side of the street, was the line of demarcation. If anything happened to me before I crossed that line, and I knew as a teenager, if anything happened to me, nobody would come looking for me because I'm on the wrong side. When I crossed that street, the white kids that were chasing me down in the car turned around and went back. They knew, don't cross over, because on the other side were people who looked like me. They'd come looking for me. But if I was on their side, I would just come up missing. And I knew that as a teenager. So that story to you has now taken on more life because you were in a place where you could feel it. You could see it, you could hear it, and you could feel it. It's not just a story, it's real. So I really appreciate your journey and the clarity and how it's moved from your head to your heart because it's real.
One of the things that I did before my grandmother died, she was born, Lord, 1907, right? In a place called St. Joe, Louisiana, and grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And I got my tape out, and I just said, we called her Goo Goo. I named her Goo Goo. One of those crazy syllables that come out of a baby's mouth, a young boy's mouth, right? So she became Goo Goo to the entire family. And I took her and I just had her go back and just listen to her talk about what it was like back there in the Klan walking in front of her, house. And I mean, I'm just and they had to live every day and just deal with it. That's what it was. Deal with it and but that stuff gets inside. That stuff gets inside. And it sounds like this got inside. And what is inside, well, at least for me, it never left. Now, both of you have been on the tour, right?
Yeah.
So give me your special place.
This was my second year going. And in addition to the places that the awesome students mentioned, I want to say that also to add in, for me, Africatown. Africatown in Alabama was a place where
I heard of that place, so tell me about it.
The folks that were brought over. There was one last ship that was brought over called the Clotilda.
Yep.
And they were after translators say it was abolished, but there was a bet. The ship owner said, "I bet you I can still do it," and he did it and brought over 750.
That he could bring another cargo of slaves to America.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think he brought over about 750. And they came over to Alabama and settled in this place they called Africatown. And they tried to burn the ship and bury the ship, but the ship was found. I want to say within like the last 5 or 6 years ago, it kind of brought it back. But there was this thriving town because they only had so many. I want to say maybe 8 years or something, and then I can't remember the year, but the year Lincoln Emancipation Proclamation. And so those folks built up that town and they gave them that area, and that was thriving. It was its own schools and they had their own stores and things of that nature and stuff. But you can also see how industry was placed there on purpose and how it has polluted the air and water systems and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that we also know here close to home in our city, the difference between 880 and 580, right? In terms of where trucks can go and that constant pollution in the air when they're driving through certain parts of Oakland and certain parts of, Palo Alto or I just remember hearing an NPR story on that. But that particular part stuck to me. We were the first large group to go to their new community center, not their new museum. They opened up their museum this past year, and we were one of the first large groups to come through. And it really did talk about those folks who lived there. And Zora Neale Hurston's book, Cujo, was one of the last living survivors there, and she was able to interview him. And that's who the book is based off. One of the people who actually lived in that area. And you can see that some of the houses, are there, and they're trying to bring people back and bring back and keep that legacy going for that little piece of that town. And it's a beautiful thing. And we've been able to be honored by Major Womack, who comes and gives us the tour and gives us the history of, Africatown, and takes us around and shows us, things, and just how highways and byways also cut through many of their town. There's this really long street, and it's really hard to cross. And it took us a minute to get there because of the fact that it's an easy street to go on. It also passes by, I think, one say some toll tax and stuff like that. So instead of going that way, you take this street. It's the one right there by the cemetery before we cross over to get to the cemetery. And that there is it just showed me just how industry and just how intentional folks are to continue to destroy things that we have built and destroy the legacy and destroy the community that we have built, just like they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And people keep saying, you had your own, you can thrive, you can do all this. We've tried it, and it's continued to be burned and continued to be ruined because of, jealousy and, white supremacy.
Just like when Napoleon shot off the nose of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Of the Sphinx. Yes, for you.
Also, my second time around in the trip, I would say 16th Street Baptist Church. And I say that as someone who grew up in the church, not Baptist, but just the concept of worship. I think also for me, I love seeing people rejoice and really get their spirits rehealed, refilled, and recharged. And I think in a sacred space like 16th Baptist Church, so much history. I mean, the evil of putting a bomb outside of a church tells you how significant that place is. I think also just going back to, one of the things we talked about as a staff about like the church and the outcomes of it, it was to show students that this is a place, especially where Black folks worship and read and all that good things. But, back in the civil rights during the height of it, it was places like 16th Street Baptist Church where people could organize, put strategy together, put meat, and
try and hide, get some respite.
Yeah, and it's to me, it's in the past of its history, it's been interdisciplinary in that sense. It's been a multi-purpose space, and I think just of all the folks that have really gone through the civil rights, heard and unheard, wrote a book about, and the folks that we're learning about today and their contributions, a place like 16th Street Baptist Church is where a lot of great men and women walked in and out of. And I think to me, even with the horrific bombing, it's still a place that shows how it's important for a Black community to have in such an interdimensional space.
I think so I'm old enough to have watched this stuff from afar, right? I think we just don't, a lot of times don't appreciate the courage that it took to be part of, you can call it the resistance, you call it the movement, the courage it took. And a film we show every year to our kids is Freedom Riders. And when they see that, they can't believe that those people are going down in the South with no protection. Like, the federal government's not going to protect them. The local government's not protecting them. They know, and there's a part in there, I think Diane Nash, the famous name a lot of us know now, a university, Tennessee State University, young woman who went down there. And they say to her, well, you might die. She said, that's all right. I've already written my last will and testament. And she just get on the bus and I'm going. And, I got people with puffed up courage everywhere, because I'm dealing with a whole lot of little homies and homegirls, right? And, the courage to know that you might get, and like, okay, if that's what I'm going anyway, and the bus can stop. And so, I mean, I'm just blown away by the courage and resistance. And I'm thinking, then I'm going back to the abolitionist movement, right? And all the name, and it's funny, you don't know all of these people. And I remember reading it Before the Mayflower, and I kind of was familiar with the civil rights movement, but to learn about all these abolitionists, when slavery was still going on, and they had to run and and they could be caught, slaves could be caught and brought back. So I mean, it's amazing folks. Amazing folks who, as Chuck D said one time, refuse to lose. Refuse to lose. Anything else you want to highlight from the? Did you guys had a debrief with you? Did you guys take journals? I'm curious. Did you do journal writing while you were there? Oh, that must be wonderful. Yeah. Oh Lord, just give me. I want to read one of your journals. Okay. No. Anything else you want to highlight and just. It's your time, Ella or Imani, Elena Harrison. Yeah, anything else you want to highlight from the tour, Alana?
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry about that, Alana. Yeah. But I guess I'd like to highlight a little bit of a curveball that actually happened on the trip. As you know, we got snowed in traveling, I believe, to Tennessee and got stuck in Mississippi. But that was actually, a bit of a catastrophe. There was a bad storm, but nevertheless, we found solace in each other and we comforted each other. And it was a good time for us to really take a step back and kind of analyze all of these gifts that we've been given along the way. I know for a fact that personally, I wouldn't have come out of this trip with so much insight if I hadn't had the time to be alone, kind of with myself and with my friends at that time. We talked, we had a good laugh, and we really did kind of, question a lot of things that we once didn't question before. And that's really important for young people, especially students. We should always question things. And it was great that we got to do that on this trip. And if you could read some of our journals, I'm sure you'd be really, really impressed with all of this growth that we'd seen in each other and in ourselves. It was really amazing, point in the trip for me.
We made it to New Albany, Mississippi. That's where we were. So shout out to the Hilton staff at the New Albany, Mississippi, because they definitely made it for us. We spent 2 nights there, and we just got really lucky. We were on the road in the sleet, and it really wasn't snow; it was sleet. I'm from Illinois, and that was some heavy stuff. And if you haven't driven that every day, it's just not. It's not for the weak. But they left the kitchen open and let us graze all day long, even past when it was supposed to be, which was really nice. They drove some of our staff members to stores so that we wouldn't have to heat up the big bus. And they really did open I would say the carpet for us. And so I'm very impressed with them, and they made sure we got back, and then even texted us on the way to make sure, did you make it back to New Orleans? And so I thought that was just super nice of the staff there at the Hilton Garden Inn in New Albany, Mississippi.
When your chapter discovered that you were waylaid on your trip, you need to know that your chapter was in prayer for you and your crew.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The San Francisco Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Yes.
Yeah. And I put it out there, and I had some other folks who said,
Yes,
I said,
you did.
We were trying to get somebody to an airport, and we had a lot going on. And so I appreciated that. And I know that we are a praying sorority. Yes, we are. We know when we're to bring God into those things. And I think that those prayers, we definitely came through for us, because we were able to make it back safe and sound. There was no snow tires on that bus. It was strictly.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. It was
See,
strictly.
I grew up in Kansas City, so I understand sleep.
Yes.
Nothing to play with.
There was no snow tires, so we doubled back real quick.
Oh my goodness.
Boy, it's Sunday, I can say that.
Something that we did this trip that we didn't get to go to or do last time was visit the bridge.
Oh, right. We did not, because of the fact that the hurricane came through, so we didn't get a chance to go to the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. But this year we did, and I got a really good picture that I did share with Dr. Marshall, but it wasn't quality enough to put on the flyer, he thinks. But we have a really
we
good.
Couldn't see the kids. We saw the bridge, but we couldn't see them.
But it was to me, it was just it's like so many greats have also walked that bridge, but thinking about the route from Birmingham to that bridge is not for the weak. Just like we're driving, we're zooming by. Folks walked, like spend the night, I'm sure somewhere, but walked, and so I thought it was pretty cool.
It's a straight shot, but it's also too what he said, not for the weak. Along the road, you can see things, and you just imagine what they were putting on the side of the roads, and they probably could not stop anywhere in between there to try to do that. But they walk, and they wasn't walking in like Nikes and stuff like that. These people walking in heels and Sunday dresses and full, what do you say, from the looter to the tutor, hot stockings. That
was back in the day where you dressed up to go protest. You got dressed to go and fight. You got dressed up because you want to let people know you know how to present yourself as a lady, as a man. We just didn't just put, I remember back in the day, you get dressed up, let people know. First thing they see is somebody that's well put together. And then when you start talking, you sound like somebody that's educated and clear. Listen, we did not play back in the day.
As Clarence Jones would say, when your mind is on freedom, you don't mind walking.
It's true.
You don't
Amen.
mind. Well, I still can't believe they did a Montgomery bus boycott for what, a year, 12 months, and walk to work.
They did.
Man, look, I got people like I can't walk around the corner to the store. These people walk, forfeited all the pleasures of taking the whatever it would do to get there. And so, yeah, remarkable, remarkable. And that's the heroes. Those are heroes. And those heroes inspire us. And that's why it's so important to get as up close and personal as you can with them. So let me get who and I got Ella, I got Harrison, I get Ella, or did Alana? Who was next? I can't remember. I know I did Imani and I did Harrison.
Yeah, everybody.
Did I? Everybody had a chance. The second,
I
last
was
time?
just going to add
Go ahead.
something.
Go ahead.
I would also like to say that just like being together as a cohort within the trip was very interesting. Of course, we had been living together since the beginning of school, and so like we knew each other. It wasn't as if we were strangers, but getting to be vulnerable and truly like experience such impactful sites together, I think even furthered our connection as a cohort. I treat these people just like they're my family, and I can rely on them as such, but getting to know that it was okay to feel every emotion that I was feeling, regardless of how that manifested, was a very empowering and just like safe space to do so. Everyone, including the staff, was just very comforting and there for one another, no matter what you were feeling. And I would say that just as a cohort, that really helped us to just further our connection and further like truly feel what we were feeling, because I think that if I was in that site with anyone from my high school, I would not have been able to feel as safe and just get to feel those emotions as strongly. So I was very grateful for just the overall atmosphere and comfort that I had within the cohort and the staff that took us.
We're not all related, but we're all family. We're all family. And this is the oh, this is so wonderful here. This is just saying, I gotta say this. Yeah. USF, okay. Look, HBCUs don't have this tour, okay? And they're historical Black colleges. Other PWIs, if I can use that phrase, don't have this. So this is just such a unique and wonderful thing that I just have to give credit to my alma mater for, for making this thing happen.
I didn't have this when I was an undergrad, and I think that I may have said that several times to the students to appreciate it. Okay. But to go the first year was eye-opening for me, and I had to remind myself, this is for the students, but I was learning just as much as they were.
Absolutely.
And then to go back also to a second time to experience it, from a different lens. I remind myself every year there's a new group of students going, and this is their first time. And so I needed to also be cognizant to be there for them during times of vulnerability. Times where I can see it in their face, something is going on and they're processing something. And sometimes it was just me, putting a hand on the shoulder saying, if you need me, I'm here. And being close by. And sometimes, because I made sure to make eye contact with many of them so they can understand that I'm here. And sometimes that's just enough, right? One of them just came over and grabbed me and hugged me and just started bawling, and I take their lead for that. But to know that our staff members are there, it was important for me just to see the face and see the demeanor as we go to some of these sites, because there are some tough information, some tough ways, especially that Legacy Museum, that can take you down the way it has it set up. We don't want to give it away, but we do want folks to know that is a trip to make to Montgomery, Alabama, to see that museum. And next year will be the third installment that we will go to the third place with the folks there. So it'll be a new experience and a new part of the museum that will be done by that time. And this is the Brian Stevenson one that he did.
Yeah. I want to ask each of you, everything you saw and experienced, it's American history. It's American history. Okay. Why in your just give me your thoughts on this. Why are people so afraid of the truth? I mean, what is about the truth that's, truth is truth, right? And I read this somewhere on something that says, what role does Black history play in an America where truth no longer matters? Because it seems like truth doesn't matter. And I'm assuming it doesn't matter because they're afraid of it. I don't know why. Yeah, you lost the election. It's true. Okay, so forget it. All right. So just your thoughts about, because you learn the truth, and why are people so afraid of the truth? And what is it like carrying something that you know is true that other people either don't know, don't want to know, or don't give a Ooh, I can't say I'm on radio. Okay. Yeah, just your thoughts about that. And whoever goes first, just go for it. Oh, we can't have dead air. We're on the radio, so.
No problem, no problem. I got you. I would say that to answer your question, truth and reality, inextricably, they're linked, and reality can be very, very uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're human beings, it's in our nature to feel, but it's oftentimes so much that we want to feel like we want to turn away from whatever is bothering us. And this goes beyond any kind of politics as well. It's life, it's the nature of our existence, and we want to run. But you have to face these same problems, you have to face these same issues in life because it is in our nature to feel. And to feel fully means to embrace the truth, to embrace that reality, whether it's comfortable or not. And we take, you know, pride in that as people, you know, that we're honest, that we're earnest, and we use other people, we lean on them in times of need because it can't all be done alone. But again, you know, the truth will set you free, and it's very, very important that, you know, people strive for that. But again, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's simple, but it's not easy. And I think that's the reason why people tend to run away from the truth.
Elena or Ella or Imani, your thoughts on that?
I was just gonna say that I think here in America, the reason why we don't accept it as the truth, I guess would say, is because I'm taking a class right now. It's called Unforgiving the Unforgivable. So we're looking at a lot of apologies like around World War II and other countries like that. So I think the big issue that we have here is that we want to push past it so much that we don't want to stop to recognize it and apologize for it. Because I think really America hasn't done a lot to really fix what they've done in the past. I think it's more of a, oh, it happened, but it doesn't really affect us. So we're just going to push past it. So I just think that's our biggest issue here is that we don't want to see it as a problem when it in fact is. And it's history that continues to affect us in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah, to add on to Ella, I would say that it's really hard for people that are not Black, like whether they're white or not, to really see the history and take it for fact and recognize the role that they played in it. While at the Legacy Museum, I was just having an emotional experience, and I knew that that space was hard for some of the fellow members of like other people in the museum. I noticed that there was this one white lady that like kept looking at us, and like I could tell that she was like feeling the same pain that I was. And I think that me being there and being in that space and having that emotional response, what I would like to think is that it only furthered her true understanding of the impact of the history that she was learning and the role that not necessarily she played in it, but just like people of her culture and her past had played in it. So I think that it's just an overall touchy subject as far as accepting what you've done and what you can do to fix it. But I think that it's just something that we're going to have to do in order to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, because the only way for that not to happen is to educate ourselves.
Thank you. Imani, your thoughts about that?
For me, I would say that with truth comes accountability, and that is just the essence of accepting the role that you have played. And I think that this is cognizant for all communities because this can even speak to our own community and how we can often divide ourselves off of the history that we know and how that has played a role into where we are today, but also to the people who are often, how we would say, who are not Black and who often have been so disconnected for so long from the values of like loving our neighbor or seeing everybody as like not races, but like as just as a human being. Because I think too, what connects to like slavery is seeing that we were so disconnected from even being human. And I think that's important to emphasize because when you have to accept this role, you have to take into mind that you've taken people out of their own humanity and made them so like far removed from you. And I think that that actually distorted a lot of how they made a lot of what is not normal normal. And so I think that that's really important. And that just comes with like when you are recognizing this truth, you have to hone in on all the things that we've let pass, you know, and you can even recognize that in something like San Francisco, and you can see like the homeless problem right now, houseless problem, and how we walk in past our fellow men, sisters, brothers every day without saying hello, how you doing, and recognizing them as people, as somebody going through problems and issues. And I think that in a lot of ways that speaks volumes for like a lot of the policies that have passed, you know, not recognizing women's rights. So I think a lot of these things are more deeper connected than we know. But I think in a lot of ways that's the whole aspect of not wanting to accept the truth, because accepting the truth comes with accountability and accepting how you have made an impact in the society that we live in today.
Well said, all of you. Well said. This has been, you've been great. You are, oh, just so wonderful representatives of the Marshall Riley Scholars. I know Mrs. Riley is listening, and just think about this. Look at the reaction that you had to the civil rights tour. Boy, what if you could go abroad, go to Ghana, go to Nigeria, go to go to Cameroon? First time I went, you know what I did when I got over there? The motherland. I got off the plane, kissed the ground. Ain't that ridiculous? I was like, whoa. And then look, some lady came up and said, "Oh, you Igbo tribe, you Igbo tribe." You know, I mean, look, that is the next thing. If you can take that next step in some way, I don't know if we'll have money to do that, but you know, I like to say, go to the place before the kidnapping, before the kidnapping, right? And I've taken to this as the abusive relation it's abusive relationship that we had in America, right? And still, and this is one thing I've been telling the young people. I've been using this phrase, and then we even know the poem. I'm gonna finish the year with the poem. Still I rise. Amen. Still I rise. Isn't that amazing? Through all as you saw, we continue to rise. When it has been, I said this, and I mean, young people will say to me sometimes, "Well, Dr. Marshall, this was set up for us to fail." You damn right it was set up for you to fail. Absolutely. And the fact that you didn't fail says a lot about you. And that's why those stories are so important. Those heroes and sheroes. And, you know, I still think Harriet Tubman is the greatest thing I have in the world. That girl went down there. Let me start on Harriet. I'll be here forever. All right. But all of that is in you. For USF to be so intentional in creating something that you can get in touch with that and have that plan in you. That's where I got the more you know, the more you owe, you know. I got that from my grandmother when I was 6 years old, who told me that, and I didn't know what it meant, but what she meant is as you grow in progress in life, so you must help others to do likewise. And that is as African as it can get. So I got to thank all of you for being here. Thank the two of you for being their stewards and their counselors.
They make it easy.
They're shepherds, and they ain't gonna make it easy because they're young. Because I didn't make it easy when I was young. But this is beautiful. Lady E, you always take us home. And so please do so again.
Well, what's come to me is something different. And so first of all, I'd like to say to our young people, without hesitation, you have been responsive. You have really been thoughtful in your responses. There is nothing better to me than hearing young people who think. And you have demonstrated your presence. And I don't mean just being in the box. I mean present and connected with what is being said, what is being heard, what everyone is saying. And when we come to you, you are ready with a heartfelt, clear, thoughtful response. And I am just so delighted to hear each of you. Now, this is what I'm going to ask from each of you as we close out. From the experience that you had, the insight that you've gained, and what you've discovered about yourself and your ancestral past, what message would you have? What brief message would you share with other young people? I'm not going to call on you.
I think for me, what I've been professing since the day I got to college is open the same doors that were once open for you. I think that's what I can learn from my ancestors and what I've learned throughout all my experiences. Every experience that you gain is an honor and it's an opportunity for you guys to share that with others and give other people, young youth, that experience for them to open their horizons and also just, welcome them into your community, build that mentorship and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you.
I would say be unapologetically yourself, and in doing so, make sure that you're the change that you want to see. There's no reason to wait on others when you can do it yourself. So that would be what I would say.
Thank you.
I think I would say just you got to keep going. There's always going to be something that's going to be in your way. It's going to try and stop you, but like we've seen through all of the places we visited and all the history we've read through, our people have always done it, so it can be done again, and we'll have to keep doing it. So,
okay, thank you.
My piece of advice would be that, you are in control. And no matter how life may feel at this moment, how it might feel in the future, you are in control of what's most important to you, which is your thoughts, which is your actions, and how you perceive this life. And that, no matter what happens in this world, whatever wrongs might befall you, humanity will always rise to the occasion. And that's something really important to give to the next generation, I think.
Thank you so much. You are the hope and the dream, the prayers of your ancestors, of our ancestors. And so blessings to you as you continue your journey. Never forget, always remember, and never forget that you are part of an amazing past, an amazing legacy, and you have a promise to fulfill. Your ancestors are looking to you, seeing you, waiting to hear your prayers, waiting to fulfill your hopes and dreams, waiting to see you not miss an opportunity to share, to live, to grow, and shine the light of who you are and from whence you've come. Blessings to you, and good luck with the rest of the semester.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you for having us
Yes,
again.
absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
Happy to be back. This
is great.
This is great.
Now you got to go to sleep, get up, and get ready to go to class.
Yes.
Week 5 starts tomorrow.
Class.
I will see you soon, I hope. I get Mrs. Riley over there and get me and her a t-shirt.
Yes.
Okay.
I have them.
Thank you. Good night.